welcome to episode number 5. This is really fun and really exciting, and I'm so happy you're here with me. Today's topic is a fun one, and I will tell you why, because I feel like it is bringing me down to earth. I have a tendency to talk a lot about ideas and understandings, and today I really wanted to come on here and talk about dealing with life as life happens. Because I had a very, very human and life moment today where I was dealing with a whole bunch of phone calls and things that need to be taken care of, i.e., different like bureaucratic things, and like at the same time, I felt like I needed to straighten up my house, and I had laundry that I had to get done, and I had to take care of lunch. And I was getting so overwhelmed. Like I was like, oh my gosh, like. And then I'm like thinking back, I'm like, oh, but honey, you should know all of these tools, and you should know how to do all of this stuff because you're really good at life. You really love living, and you're really excited about life. And I was really overwhelmed. Like I was just overwhelmed, and I was tired, and I was getting like just like I felt like life was weighing down on me. Like I just felt like overwhelmed by being a functional adult in life. Okay, to be fair, I didn't sleep a lot last night. Okay, so that is number one thing that I tell myself whenever I'm getting like this, and whenever life gets overwhelming, and whenever I get like really stressed, is if you didn't sleep a lot, it's not that you can't trust your brain, but you can't trust your brain. Like, don't trust what your mind is telling you when you're running on like low sleep, or when you're running without a lot of food, or when you need some water, or when like I don't trust that this is like something that needs to be taken so urgently and so seriously. While yes, it is overwhelming and it is extremely, extremely uncomfortable. I may have eaten 1 or 2 or 3 or 10 extra pieces of chocolate. I didn't have 10, but you know, and it's okay. It's okay. I think number one thing that I did when I was feeling this overwhelm was stop, recognize it for what it is. It's just a feeling and a thought. And B, so initially I ate myself up over it. Initially I was like, well, honey, you should have the tools, and you should be good, and you should be groovy in life. You should be doing okay. But ultimately I stopped and I said, honey, you're human just like everybody else. Just because you have understandings in life, everybody has understandings in life. That doesn't make you extra special and immune to going through this human condition. Whereas if you're running on low sleep, you will be cranky, and life will feel heavy, and everything will be overwhelming. And that's okay. Like just being okay with the not okay feeling in and of itself is huge. It's huge. It's huge, 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 huge. Because initially I was overwhelmed by the not being okay. That like why is my life overwhelming? I'm not that person anymore. Like I know how to deal with life. But just being okay with like, oh, hey, you're human, kiddo. It's all right. So I think that first of all was like a huge deal to me. It was just sitting in it, and just it's not stewing in it, and it's not like overthinking it, and it's not going into it, but it's just being okay with what is. Right now life is feeling overwhelming for me, and that's okay. Period. That is okay. You don't need to do anything to fix it. You don't need to go anywhere. Just it's okay. Like there is real life, and life has to be dealt with, and you do still have to, cook food and take care of your bills and make your bed. You don't have to make your bed if you don't want to. You don't have to do anything if you don't want to be honest. So yeah, that number one for me was just being okay with feeling not okay. And not judging myself for it, and not eating myself up over it, and just being like, all right, so stuff hit the fan, and I am dealing with things one at a time. I'm overwhelmed. I'm tired. I'm getting a little cranky, and that's fine. I think what made me even crankier, and what made me even more overwhelmed, was that I thought I should be handling it better than I was. And then I was like, you're handling it the best you can. And just by having that one acceptance and that moment of non-judgment and and self-acceptance, like I said, that in and of itself allowed me to deal with the situation much more, I guess maturely would be the right word. So yeah, as we do our weekly thingamajig, I'm going to dive into what ChatGPT gave us. Now they're saying, picture this, life throws a curveball and you're thinking, how on earth do I deal with this? What is your go-to move when things get real for you? Initially, my go-to move is, I'm overwhelmed, help. Yeah, that is my initial go-to. Okay. How am I going to deal with this? Life is coming to an end. Like, this is where it ends. That is usually my initial go-to. Okay. I'm human just like the rest of us. If you have a different response, please hit me up and tell me what your initial response is. Okay. Because I would appreciate it. Then after I have the initial panic and overwhelm and decide that I might as well just go live under a bridge and shrivel up and die, then I have another, I let that, all right, cool, heavy, she's back, that thought is back, that's all right. Then I come to accept the situation. I just accept it for what it is. I don't blow it up. The reality is, let's say you need to take care of something, you quit your job and you don't know where your income's going to come from. That is the reality. Cool. First you panic because you panic. Fine. I'm not taking that away from you. It's fun. It's nice. It's lovely. It feels not too great, but you're going to do it. So do it. And then comes the, okay. So I'm afraid. I'm feeling uncomfortable. I have a lot of fears based around this. Cool. Accept them for what they are. All they are fears. It's noise in your head. It's a thought. Okay. It's not real. Our fears are, well, they're as real as we make them. But I think also kind of like I discussed, I think it was last week, that like approach it with curiosity. When I approach this overwhelm and this life thing with curiosity of where is this going to lead me to, I do feel like it kind of allows me to level up in life. Just today I was talking to my mom and I said, I'm going through like a lot of changes right now, I guess I would say. And today I was just extremely overwhelmed. And I was talking to my mom and I was like, I feel like the background music in my life is like in Super Mario when you're leveling up, like when you're going on to another level. I don't remember exactly what the sound is, but I feel like it was like do 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 next level. I don't think it goes like that, but you know what I mean. I feel like that is the soundtrack of my life right now. And when I approach it with curiosity and almost excitement, I get a little bit of excitement in my belly when I'm afraid. Like I get overwhelmed and sometimes I just want to cry, which is fine as well. I think crying is a gift. But after you cry, then you get back up and you face it. All right, what are we practically going to do? What are going to be the next steps? And I think through the taking of the steps, especially for me in my experience today, what it was through the taking of the steps, I was getting more and more confidence. I was getting more and more courage. So I had to take one step. I had to just take one step, look up maybe one employment, one job, or one income opportunity. And then it was like, oh my gosh, okay, I could do a little bit of this. And I think when you go in slowly into different things of when shit gets real, excuse my French, it makes it a lot more manageable. It's not that we have to manage our lives, but it does make it a lot, like the overwhelm, for me at least, goes down because I'm actually taking action towards taking the next step. So my go-to move, I say, to answer the question, because I got a little carried away here, I'd say my go-to move is probably panic and then take tiny, tiny, tiny baby steps. But look at the baby steps and celebrate them. You're moving forward. Take the next step. Show up. Put one foot in front of the other. Slowly. Super scary, super overwhelming. If you need to panic and stop and cry, please do. Go ahead. You can call me. You can reach out to me. That's fine. If I'm not available, then you can just cry on your own. That's also okay. I'm going to send you a hug. And you can come back and listen and hear that I'm giving you a hug. I'm sorry, you have to cry on your own though. And sometimes I do it too. So yeah, I think it's really just facing life head on without any strings attached. Just face it for what it is and put one foot in front of the other and approach it maybe with curiosity. And that'll give a little bit of an excitement, I guess, as opposed to a fear. Yeah. Okay. So next question. So I love ChatGPT. It's hilarious. Okay, here's what they say. I'm gonna read it in their language. Hey there, real life navigators. How awesome is that? Life isn't always rainbows and butterflies, right? So spill the beans. When you find yourself knee deep in life's messiness, what is your practical strategy for dealing with it? Ooh, I love that. Like it's so expressive. My knee deep, sorry, not my, when I find myself knee deep in life's messiness, my practical strategy for dealing with it is to keep showing up and show up with curiosity and to be brave and to realize that life isn't all that it's made out to be. This moment is just a moment, and tomorrow will be a different moment, and you'll have different feelings, you'll have different thoughts. And so there's no need to really take it so uber seriously. I said uber one too many times and it sounded funny. But yeah, I think really what I do is I step out for a second. I look at the greater scheme of things. I'm like, right, you're just a tiny little human in this tiny little dot in this tiny little house in this tiny little country. Like when you zoom out for a second, it's like, okay, we can handle it. It's very heavy and it's very overwhelming. Your life feels very real. And sometimes it's actually really hard to zoom out. I don't think I zoom out. I think I like the idea and I like to say that I zoom out, but sometimes I do get caught up. Like I do. I experience the human condition in all its flavors and shapes and colors. But I do think that my practical strategy would be probably to just zoom out for a second and like realize that like this is just a small bump in the road, or this is just a small hiccup, or this isn't even a bump in the road. This is just a small hill that we need to climb up over. And once we're up the top of the hill, we can see things a little differently. So yeah. Next question. When the going gets tough and it feels like everything's falling apart, what's your down to earth way of keeping yourself grounded? Any tricks or hacks that work for you in these real time challenges? So I don't work with tricks and hacks. Okay. I don't like to tack things on top of things, on top of things, on top of things. I think we're great as we are. And I don't think we need like a hack to hack our brain or to do any tricks. I think we intuitively know what we need to know. Just yesterday, I heard on podcast a number of times, just yesterday, I was talking about it with somebody and we were talking about panic attacks, even how a panic attack is basically your brain's way of saying like, I'm overwhelmed. I'm overheating, just like a heart attack. The heart stops when it just overheats. It actually has an attack and it doesn't explode, but it stops working. A panic attack is basically the same idea. When your brain is overwhelmed, you're overthinking, and there's so much going on, your brain just decides to have a little reset and shuts down and goes into a little bit of I wouldn't call it panic, but goes into a panic attack. And that's your body's way and your brain's way of saying, slow the F down, you know? So I think intuitively, like just like our brains and bodies know to go into a panic attack when we are hitting a panic attack, I think intuitively we also do know when we're getting overwhelmed, we know more or less how to stay grounded. We can recognize that the things we're feeling here and now and the overwhelm and the pain and the frustration and the sadness and the fear. I think when I just remember that it's happening here now and live and not a permanent situation, I think in that recognition, it feels better and I feel more grounded. So yeah, that's what I would say. Oh, this is such a great question. Let's talk real talk. In the middle of life's chaos, how do your thoughts play a role? Ever catch yourself thinking, well, this sucks? And how do you shift gears to get through it? I totally think that a lot of the times. Like today, I'm running on not a lot of sleep. And I was overwhelmed, and I definitely thought to myself at least 5 or 6 times throughout the day, well, this sucks. And like I was overwhelmed by being an adult in life, and I was overwhelmed by needing to take care of all the adult things. And I was like, this sucks. So yes, I definitely think that. And how do I shift gears? I don't really try to shift gears. I'm gonna be honest. I don't really try to shift gears. I don't. I accept it for what it is. Because I think when we shift gears, we're just like tacking something on top of another thing, and so then we just have like a bigger sucky thing that's just like we're pretending that it doesn't suck because we've tacked something on top. It's okay. It sucks. Yeah, you still got to deal with it, my friend. Um, I'm saying that more to myself than I am to you. But yeah, like you deal with it. And I think one of the biggest things, actually, this just came to me. I think one of the biggest things about having these types of moments in life where like life is just overwhelming and like like, oh my gosh, it feels like only you have such a challenging and difficult situation in life, or, only you need to deal with this stuff and everybody else deals with it with such grace and dignity. I think for me, the absolute key is not to judge myself, or not to compare myself like, oh, this person knows how to do life. They're just acing it. They're so good at like just figuring it all out. And so when I just don't judge myself and like, because it's already overwhelming. Okay. Life is overwhelming. It's heavy. It's tiring. It sucks. When I don't judge myself, I can really just keep moving forward. It's the judgment that's holding us back, I think. For me, at least, it's definitely the judgment that holds me back than it is the actual situation. Is that I think I should be doing better than I'm doing. That thought is what's causing me, for me, more angst than the actual overwhelm itself. Because life does get overwhelming, and there is like difficulties in life, and there is life that has to be dealt with face to face and hands on, and get in the dirt and get in the mud and get your hands dirty. Yeah, there is. It exists. But I think when and I think everybody has those moments. For different people, it's just different levels and different challenges. But I think we all have those moments where life is overwhelming. And I think the biggest key for me, and I would say probably for most humans, is to not judge ourselves for where we are and how we're approaching it. And to just approach ourselves and accept the situation with grace and love, and just continuously like, loving on myself, being like, Chevy, you're doing great. You're doing amazing. Like, it's okay that you feel this way. I wouldn't say it's positive self-talk because it's not like I'm not actively trying to do that, but I am forgiving myself and just embracing being a more loving person. I would do that for somebody else as well. It's not like tacking on a positive thought on a positive thought. It's not like positive thinking, but it's more just tapping into that loving place in myself and to the entire world around me than being like, oh, you're not good enough. You should be in a better place right now. You should know how to handle this. You should, like, so that's basically, I think my point being is just be kind to yourself. Be kind. Forgive yourself. Don't judge. Absolutely just shower yourself and those around you with as much patience, kindness, and acceptance as the situation allows you to have. And I'm sorry if sometimes it's really sucky. And if you need to cry, cry. And if you need to feel feelings, feel feelings. And if you need whatever you need to do it. Do it. Just do it. And embrace the human condition and embrace life, and in all its glory and in all its weirdness and in all its pain and in all its chaos and in all its beauty and in all its love. Just, it's part of the human condition. And I think when I step back and look at it, I just see it as, okay, this is sometimes the challenging part, and that's okay. And then sometimes we have great parts and sometimes we have great days. But I think just coming to embrace the human condition, that we're not always going to be in tip-top shape and we're not always going to feel amazing and wonderful. And I think the key is just to not judge ourselves and to just love on ourselves and love on others, and embrace the human experience with love. So I'm going to end off here for now. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you so much for listening. And if you got something out of this, please hit me up. Let me know what you got. Let me know what you heard. Let me know what this did for you. Because I love, love, love hearing from my listeners. It's absolutely so much fun. And I love having discussions about what I'm discussing. So please hit me up if you have something to say, if you have an argument, you have a debate, more likely, more accurately. I don't like arguments. I prefer debates, or just discussions. Please hit me up. You can hit me on any of my socials, Coach Chevz, CoachChevz, or Z, depending on where you come from. That would be on Facebook. I'm Chevy Rothenberg. On Instagram, Coach Chevz. WhatsApp, if you have my WhatsApp, hit me up. I love to hear back from you. If there's any topics you'd like to have me discuss or you'd like to hear about or anything, please let me know. I love feedback. I love hearing from you guys. So thank you for joining me today. And I'm sending so much love out there. And I welcome you all into this human condition called life. And sit back, relax, and enjoy the absolutely wild ride that it is. Thank you for joining me. I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day.